Hello, folks. How would you like to get completely out of debt in 1 to 7 years? And by completely, that means housing, credit cards, cars, just about anything. Totally 100% passive and international. What does totally 100% passive mean? Let's say that you go open a new savings account at a bank that's paying 1% a year. Put your money in, you get your savings interest every year. You don't have to tell anybody. You don't have to bring other people in, 3 people into the bank before you start receiving your savings. It's totally 100% passive. It has nothing to do with mentioning it to other people. I'm sure everybody has heard of multi-level marketing home business plans where they say it's totally passive. But technically it's not, because you have to have spillover. It's totally passive for you if you get spillover, but so somebody has to work. But we're talking about totally 100% passive. It has nothing to do with talking to other people or anything like that. Also, we're going to be talking about how to receive a new car in about 1 year for 1% of the price. That's like a 99% discount. Plus, get paid a lot of money weekly while you are waiting on this car that continually gets bigger and bigger. Let that sink in for a minute. Before we go any further, though, folks, I'd like you to pause this page and read this disclaimer. You're going to hear about a group of people, the most humanitarian people you have ever heard of, that has a heart to help people. They are taking their private investments and sharing them with you. Again, 100% totally passive. So stop it right here and read this page. Thank you. Okay, now folks, we're getting into the what really happens. And this also happens for active people, but we are talking about 100% totally passive. What this chart represents is how these people are going to give you money. We're going to be talking about, this column is the first week. You're going to earn money weekly. The first week of year 1 down through all 52 weeks of year 1, then it goes in year 2, all 52 weeks, etc., etc. This is the date that I'm actually making this recording, August 14th, 2023. This can be changed later if you need to. We're going to be talking about different columns across here, and I will explain them as we get through them. But the way this works, you will learn that there is a $50 charge to get our ebook, which is unbelievably interesting about finances and how the world works and so forth and how it affects you personally. But you will not pay that $50. It will be paid for you. Then what the company does when somebody receives what we call a PIF, pay it forward, or you can pay for your own if you wish, they actually deposit $10 into what we call your big account. Anytime there is a deposit made, you receive 80% in your balance. So 80% of a $10 deposit is $8. Your balance will receive between 3 and 5% compounded weekly. So your very first week, 3%, everybody starts at a minimum of 3% and then works their way up to 5%. But 8 times 3 is 24. There's 24 cents in your first week. Your second week, 25 cents. This is your running balance. This is week after week after week. This is for people 100% totally passive. You don't have to do anything but let this grow. You start with technically a free $8. Your balance is growing. At the end of 1 year, $34.20. That's not going to pay off your bills yet, right? You have to let this grow. You need to look up in Google the ninth wonder of the world, if you will, compound interest. It'll blow your mind. Here's how much you earn each week in the second year. Your balance at the end of the second year is, let's go down here, $131. The end of your third year, you have to let this grow, but this is free, $526. The end of 4 years, $3,010. At the end of 5 years, $13,730. At the end of 6 years, $63,267. Now you're getting to where you can pay off some of your bills. There's more to it than this, though. You're going to be getting money along the way, too, and we'll explain that. You don't have to totally wait for the end of the 6 years. This keeps going. Let's say you don't do anything with this, and in the 7th year, I believe it becomes over $300,000. But don't want to blow your mind. This calculator only goes to 6 years to actually show you what's going on. Now let's go back up here to the beginning. I want you to recognize this column right here called the tier level. What this represents, everybody starts out at tier 1, which is 3% compounded weekly. Tier 1 lasts for a while. This is all 3%. Eventually you will go to tier number 2, which is when your balance becomes at least $500. Then you go to tier 2. And tier 2 is for a while, that's 3.5% weekly. Tier 3 comes quicker, it looks like it's 1,000. Once you reach that, you switch to tier 3, now you're receiving 4% weekly. Goes to tier 4, you're receiving 4.5% weekly, and tier 5 on is the best. This is all 5% compounded weekly. Let me just give you a quick example of the tier levels. So what determines the earnings rate you receive on your big account? Your balance starts at $8, and that's what we call tier 1, and it's 3% compounded weekly. Once your balance reaches at least $500, you go to tier 2, 3.5% weekly. Once your big balance reaches at least 1,000, tier 3, 4% weekly, at least 5,000, tier 4, 4.5% compounded weekly, at least 10,000 and up, tier 5, 5.0% weekly. And as your balance grows, then you move into the next tier. Let's get back to the calculator. Okay, let's talk about a few other columns. I'm also going to show you how you can put money in here and make this grow quicker and faster and larger, but we'll get back to that. This column right here is preset at $100 and 50%. I'm going to give you the address for this calculator so you can play with these numbers. Anything in yellow, you'll learn you can change the numbers and see how it affects your balances here. It's preset at $100 and 50%. What that means is when your big wallet here, this column here reaches $100, let's see when it reaches $100. Okay, it reaches $100, 5th year, 13th week. When it reaches $100, half of that is going to be sent to you automatically each week to your internal wallet, which you can then do with what you wish. Cash it out, turn it into other coins, put money in your bank, whatever you want. Once you reach that level, then that continues weekly. So you're always above $100 here. Each week, 50% is going into your account. That's where I said your balance is growing over here, but you're also eventually going to receive weekly amounts. So let's go down a little further here. Let's go down in the middle of the 6th year. Now you're in the $400 a week range coming to you that you can turn into cash. Your balance is still growing. Let's go down to the end of the 6th year. You're getting 1,000 a week, and your 63,000 is still there. Now you can play with this up here. Let's just for a quick example, let's change this to $50. And 50%, I'm going to hit enter, and let's see what happens. Now when it gets to $50, which obviously is going to be sooner than $100, 50% is going to be going into your account. Let's see when that started. The other one was like 6 years, 13 weeks or something. This is 4 years, 43 weeks. Okay, so it's a little bit smaller, but it's going into your account weekly. It's half of whenever this is at $50. But let's look what happens if you're taking out half of 50 compared to half of 100. You're taking out more, so there's less compounding over here. So now your balance after 6 years is 46,000 instead of like 663,000. But you've been taking money out weekly. That's totally your decision. Now let's put this back to 100. Let's talk about now what happens if you make additional deposits in here. Again, 100% totally passive. They have what they call a marketing campaign that you can contribute to. How does a marketing campaign contribution benefit? How does it benefit you? There are 6 amounts that you can contribute to the marketing campaign in multiples of 250. They are $250, $500, $750, $1,000, $1,250, or $1,500. You can contribute any of these over and over in any amount. Why would you want to do these? Now you want to pay attention to what I'm about to say here. Each of these amounts is 1% of the value of a new car that you can receive completely free in just 1 year's time. That's 100 times your contribution. You may want to pause this page and read it yourself all the way through a couple times to let the astonishment get into your brain. These people really want to help other people. I've never seen a humanitarian effort like this. For example, if you contribute $500, then in 1 year's time, you could have a brand new car valued 100 times $50,000. Contribution of $1,000 would give you a brand new car valued at up to $100,000, and a contribution of $1,500 could get you a brand new car valued at up to $150,000. 100 times any of these amounts. Now, they say car, but it can be any type of vehicle: a truck, a car, a motorhome, a boat, transportation. I think they even said it could be used if you wanted to. So let's say you wanted a $300,000 car. Well, you can contribute $1,500 twice. $1,500 is $3,000 times 100 would be a $300,000 vehicle. You can contribute any different amounts and add the combinations in any way you want to get a car. That's explained in your back office. Okay, now this is also very important. In addition to a brand new car completely paid for within a year, your contribution amount is immediately added to your big balance. Your contribution amount is immediately added to your big balance as a deposit following the usual deposit rules, which will boost your weekly compounding earnings. This is our way of saying thank you for supporting our marketing campaign. So let's say you contribute $250 to the marketing campaign. You can get up to a $25,000 vehicle in about a year. That $250 is going to be transferred as a free deposit to your big account. We're going to go back to the calculator here. That is free. You doubled your $250. Let's go back to the calculator. Okay, so the first contribution, the least amount of contribution, I should say, to the car program is $250. And we'll just say, let's say here in your 3rd month, you decide to put $250 into the car program. They give you the free deposit of $250. As I mentioned up here, they gave you a deposit of $10. Everybody gets that free when they start. And 80% goes into your big balance. So 80% of this would be $200. Now when I hit enter, $200 is going to be added to this $849. Now it's $849. But let's see what happens to your earnings. This is like, what, 25 more $8 accounts? I mean, you just had two $8 accounts. That's 63,000 at the end of the 6 years would be twice as much. But we're talking about 25 or yeah, 25 more $8 accounts. So let's see what happens at the end of the first year. 930 or 901. End of the second year, 5,278. Let's just go down to the sixth year. So we're all waiting for anyway. Are you ready? Over $2 million. Now, when do you get out of debt? Oh, I also forgot this manual withdrawal column. Let's take a look at that now. We talked about the auto column where it's set up at $100.50. You can change that. This manual withdrawal is once you reach a balance of $10,000 in your big wallet, you can take out, even though you're getting these amounts weekly, you can take out any additional money over $10,000. They leave it at $10,000. You stay at tier 5, which is the 5% compounded weekly. But let's say down here, like let's say right here, you want to take out $1,000, let's say $2,000. You want to take out $2,000 for something here. This is in your withdrawal column. I'm going to hit enter, and this column will be 2,000 less. So 2,000 instead of 13,000, it's now 11,000. You took 2,000 out there, and let's say down here someplace in middle of year 4 you needed $10,000 for something. Okay, now this is going to drop down to 39 right here. We take the 10,000 out. Okay, or it dropped to 39. So you have less and less compounding, so your total amounts are going to be less, but you're still getting the weekly amounts, and you have use of this money. But let's see what happened at the end of the 6th year. What was it? 2 million? Well, it's still almost 2 million. So you haven't hurt yourself that much. The only way you would hurt yourself is you took everything out. Let's say you decided, at this point right here, 5 years, you decided to take out, you have to leave 10,000 in there. So, okay, right here, let's say we take out 89,000. You don't really want to do this, but you know, if you have an emergency, you can't help it. So 89,000 is going to come out of this 102. It went back to 13,000, which isn't bad. You got the 89,000, but now you're compounding 13,000 instead of roughly 100,000. And let's see what happens after 6 years. Still got 560,000. But and you look at these amounts coming in weekly. So let's go back up here one more time. And you got that 250 in there. And let's say down here sometime you decided, all right, I'm just going to blow your mind. Let's say you decided to put $6,000 into the car program, and that would represent a $600,000 vehicle. That'd be a nice motorhome. Or take that $600,000 motorhome, sell it, and buy yourself a new house and pay cash for it. Did you hear that? Put $6,000 in the advertising program. The $6,000 turns into a $600,000 vehicle. Sell that vehicle for $525,000, heck of a discount for somebody, and you got enough money to pay cash for a house. And while you're doing that, you still have the money working over here for you. It doesn't take the money out of this $6,000. Let's hit enter and see what happens. You put $6,000 there. Now at the end of the year, it increased to $12,000. The end of the second year, $60,000. Let's go down to the third year, $272,000. Let's go back up here to the second year. You're $60,000. How much do you need to get out of debt? You got this going in the second year, but at the end of 1 year, you received a $600,000 vehicle. I'm sorry. Yeah, at the end of 1 year. So 1 year, 30 weeks. That'd be 2 years, 30 weeks. What's going on down here? Your balance in here is $31,000 plus you received that $600,000 vehicle. So folks, you can play with all these numbers. Put any amount of deposits in here. Change these numbers up here. Anything in yellow can be can be changed, and you just see how the numbers come out to you. But the worst case scenario is you open up a free $8 account, let it sit there, and in 6 years it's $63,000. Could your college student use that money to pay off the student loan? Could you use that as a down payment on a house? I mean, a lot of people could get out of debt just the $63,000. Just let the $8 grow and do nothing. But again, folks, please join us for free and get back to the person that sent you this video. I do want to give you a summary, though, real quick, if I may. Okay, we started this recording with get completely out of debt in 1 to 7 years, totally 100% passive, international. This chart shows what you could receive. If I would have showed you this chart at the beginning, it wouldn't have meant anything to you. It would just be boggle your mind. But hopefully it'll make a little bit of sense. Somebody comes in for $50. Again, you don't pay it, but that starts your $8 program. And as you learned, then everything must be divided by 250. And you saw those numbers in the auto advertising program when you contribute to the advertising. This just shows the amounts rounded off in every year for 6 years. So if you put in an additional $30, here's what would happen. I'm sorry, this is the $50. This is what happens if you do nothing. Somewhere along the line, let's say you did this within your first week or two, so it's comparable. The timeline is comparable. 250, these are your numbers after each of the 6 years, etc., etc., etc. 7,000, this is your figures after each year. 20,000 if you want to do it. There's your figure after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. This keeps on going too. How much do you need and how fast to get out of debt? To pay cash for a new house, whatever. Plus, as you learned, you also receive thousands more weekly to use as you wish, as your account is growing. Those are those weekly amounts that we said you keep getting. Plus, starting with the $250, you will receive 100 times that amount in a new vehicle in about a year. Use $10,000 above, receive a $100,000 million vehicle, sell it and pay cash for a new house in 1 year. Plus, this $10,000 continues growing in your big account, that calculator. Folks, please get back to the person that sent you this video. We sure like to have you aboard. They really want to help people. Thanks again.